In this video, you're going to learn about the string section instruments, including their names, how they're grouped and laid out in an orchestra and string quartet, and how many of each instrument you'd expect to find in various ensembles. There are 4 main instruments in the string family: the violin, viola, violoncello, and contrabass. The violoncello is usually just called a cello, and the contrabass is sometimes called a double bass, in jazz or popular music an upright bass, or simply bass. Quite often the harp is grouped into the string section and usually sits with or behind the strings in a standard orchestral layout. However, in this course, we're only going to focus on the 4 main string instruments. Generally, all 4 instruments are built in the same way, with the main difference being the dimensions in terms of width, length, and depth. One thing to also be aware of is that there are smaller versions of each instrument too, such as a 3/4 cello. These are designed mainly for children to learn on, but worth mentioning in case you ever see a tiny cello in a thrift store and wondering what the heck it is. The string family is split into 5 sections: first and second violins, violas, cellos, and contrabasses. When describing the amount of instruments in each section, you often see a series of numbers separated with slashes, like 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, which is 16 first violins, 14 second violins, 12 violas, 10 cellos, and 8 basses. And that's a fairly common setup for a large orchestra: 16, 14, 12, 10, 8. Importantly, for smaller variations, you can't always just half those numbers, as 4 basses aren't literally half as loud as 8. So smaller variations include 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, or 8, 6, 4, 3, 2. In pop music, the basses are often left out as they clash with the bass guitar and make the low end of a mix quite muddy. So a pretty common layout for pop is 6, 6, 4, 4. Or 6 first violins, 6 second violins, 4 violas, and 4 cellos. It is possible to go even smaller than this, but you begin to run into problems like the high ranges of each instrument sounding very weak, and also some intonation or tuning problems. String players aren't always precisely in tune, and they apply vibrato differently to one another. When you have a section of 16 violins, these tiny discrepancies go unnoticed, and in fact they add to the fullness of the sound. However, when you get below 4 or 5 violins, these slight differences become very pronounced and can sound pretty nasty. It's like when 2 people sing together, but not in harmony. It often sounds a bit rough. Of course, there are always exceptions to these rules. Obviously, these problems are eradicated when you get down to just one of each instrument, as in the string quartet, consisting of 2 violins, a viola, and cello. Writing for quartet requires a little more care to ensure parts are balanced and easily performed by a single player. The traditional orchestral layout, and the one most commonly adopted by all sizes of string sections, including quartets, basically goes clockwise from high to low pitch as if looking at the orchestra from the audience. So first violins would be on the left of the conductor, followed by second violins to the right of them, violas next, basically in front of the conductor, and cellos on the right with contrabasses behind them. There's also an alternative layout, which, from left to right again, goes first violins, cellos, again with the double basses behind them, violas, and finally second violins. This layout means the 2 violin sections are opposite one another, and the middle and lower range instruments are more central, which when you think about it is a bit closer to how modern songs are mixed, with lower frequencies central and higher ones spread further out. Of course, rules can always be broken, and composers are always finding new ways to bring different textures to their pieces. Hans Zimmer is a particular advocate of interesting recording layouts. If you're ever fortunate enough to have your string parts performed by actual players and not just sample libraries, think carefully about how you'd like the players to sit and create your own seating plan. Do bear in mind though that if you're not conducting yourself, the conductor you're hiring might be used to a standard layout, in which case it's best to play it safe and stick with one of the 2 traditional arrangements, unless you have time and money to burn. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the big red subscribe button for more music composition, production, and industry tips. If you want to learn more about the string section, sign up to my free email video course by following the link in the description. And finally, let me know what else you'd like to learn about by leaving me a comment.